We can slate. That's something that people do when they make videos. You should learn to use your third finger. You should learn to use your ring finger. You should definitely learn to use your ring finger on the bass guitar. On the electric bass, you should learn how to play with your ring finger. You got 4 fingers on your right hand. I'm a right-handed bass player. This is my right hand. I use my first finger a lot. I use my second finger quite a bit. I use my third finger quite a bit as well. And I know as a bass player, maybe you don't even need to use your fingers at all. Maybe you use your thumb. Maybe you use a pick. Maybe you only use your first finger. Maybe James Jamerson only used one finger. I don't care. We're not talking about James Jamerson. We're not talking about every bass player that uses 2 fingers and walks and runs like this. I'm talking about 3 fingers. I'm talking about using 3 fingers on the bass. Why? Because you gotta save your energy. Because each finger can be as strong as the next. Look at Mono Neon. That guy uses like all of his fingers. You should learn to use your ring finger on your picking hand, on your plucking hand. You should learn to pluck with your ring finger. There's good reasons to do it. But really though, I'm a firm believer in this idea. And I'm bringing it up because I have a couple of weddings coming up. I have some long gigs that I'm going to be playing where I got to play like 3 hours of music. You know, a lot of times as a bass player, you're going to play one note over and over for a long time. Maybe you're just going to pedal on one note for a long time. What if you needed to pedal at a different tempo? What if you needed to pedal at like... We can do this, you know what I mean? We can keep up. But for how long? And how many times do you have to use these 2 fingers when you could be using 3? This has helped me a lot. This really has. For instance, when I went on tour in 2019, I had to play like 18 shows in like 3 weeks. It was really helpful for me to be able to, that's actually when I started applying it. And I thought, okay, so if I got to play this progression, right? I'm playing a progression from D to G. That's it. I'm just playing like... I started practicing using 3 fingers for that. So starting on the first finger, I'm actually going to go first, then ring, then middle. Now that's not necessarily very hard to play. In fact, that's quite easy to play with 2 fingers. However, you might want to use 3 fingers for that, or if you're going to play that for several days, you might want to use 3 fingers. What if I want to play it at this speed? There's good applications for that. The important part about this exercise, of course, playing with 3 fingers, is that you're going to need to place your accents accurately. So if I'm playing a 4/4 groove, and I'm playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and oonts, cats, oonts, cats, oonts, cats. And accenting every other note. With 2 fingers, that's quite easy because that means that 1 is on the accent and 1 is off. If I play with 3 fingers, it gets a little bit more complicated. Right? So it's important to be able to place those accents no matter which fingers you're playing with. Say for instance, I wanted to accent every 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... It starts on my first finger, first accent, first finger, second accent, third finger, third accent, middle finger, and so on. And a 3E, and a 4E, and a 1E, and a 2E, and a 3E, and a 4E, and a... Something like that. Obviously, there's more reasons to use your ring finger than just playing rhythm games. You can also use your ring finger for this sort of like the double kick trick that I like to do sometimes, which is like a... Some people call that the gallop. That's kind of like the Geddy Lee thing. In that one, I'm actually playing my gallop with those three fingers, and then I'm actually playing the higher string with my ring finger, just because it's kind of easier to grab. So it's like gallop, middle, ring. So that's kind of like going forwards and then backwards. I don't do that, but some bass players do that and are very successful with it. They can do this sort of, you know... which is very fun to look at. I'd rather just go in order. Very cool. I also really like, I like using the gallop or the triple when I'm like kind of coming down from a note. It gives that little like snap. I suppose going up as well. Maybe that's just for flair. Maybe it's all for flair. And in the same way that you can gallop by going, you can also go the opposite direction. You can go out, right? You can go in with the gallop and you can go out. And that's the flamenco, where your hand just opens like that. Technically, with a flamenco strum, you can use all four of your fingers. The pinky is just kind of the hardest to get power into. So I generally just use like the 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Does any of that even actually sound good? That's up to you. Yet another good reason to learn to play with 3 fingers is in case what if something bad happens to your first finger? What if something bad happens to your middle finger? It's happened to me before. I used to work in restaurants, and once or twice I cut myself on a meat slicer. One time I almost cut halfway through my finger, and I had to play a show in like 2 days, and I literally, like, I wore like a cast, or I wore like a little brace and some gauze on my first finger, and I just used these 2. Can be done. Is it useful? Can be. Am I as fast with my ring and my middle finger as I am with my first and my second finger? No, I am not. But I can still play some grooves. See, that's not bad. I can still do that. I'm not as confidently as... but I can still play it with my other 2 fingers. That's the thing, right? You learn to do that, it does become useful. Or perhaps maybe you want to learn to walk with first and ring. That's totally a thing too. you can, you can get yourself to a point where that ring finger is equally as useful as your middle finger, your first finger, 1, 2, and 3. Eventually, maybe I'll get to the point where I can pluck that well with my pinky. I'm not quite near that, but perhaps. Anyway, that's my spiel, I guess. I just think that it's an important and entertaining thing to learn. Let me know if you find any good applications for this. Let me know how you use your fingers. More than just 2. This has been Bass with Ben.